The escalating tensions between Iran and Israel have intensified as Iran reportedly prepares a response to Israel's ongoing military actions in Lebanon. As the situation unfolds, Iranian military officials have issued stern warnings to Israel, cautioning that any aggression against Hezbollah will be perceived as an attack on Iran itself. The aerospace commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, articulated the gravity of the situation, stating that the battlefield is being prepared for a heavy response. He further appealed to the Iranian populace, asserting that the true fuel for our missiles is your united presence in the streets. The urgency of the situation is underscored by the IRGC's warning on April 8th, threatening a regret-inducing response if Israeli attacks do not cease immediately. According to reports from the state broadcaster, Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, Iran's warnings extend to the United States, which is referred to as an oath-breaking quest, partner of Israel. This rhetoric aligns with a report from Iran's Tasnim news agency, which, citing an unnamed source, indicated that Tehran might withdraw from the two-week ceasefire agreement should Israeli operations in Lebanon continue unabated. The IRGC-affiliated outlet also mentioned that Iran's armed forces are actively identifying targets in anticipation of retaliatory moves against Israeli strikes. The rhetoric and potential for military escalation are not limited to military officials. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi took to social media to express grave concerns over the situation in Lebanon, emphasizing that the world is witnessing massacres. He pointedly stated that Iran is drawing a red line, signaling that the region could be on the brink of full-scale conflict. Complicating the geopolitical landscape, the Associated Press reported that Iran moved to close the Strait of Hormuz in reaction to Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon, which reportedly numbered over 10-0 within a span of just 10 minutes. This strategic maritime closure has significant implications for global oil markets, as the Strait of Hormuz is a vital artery for the world's oil supply. The U.S. administration, represented by the Vice President, has acknowledged the situation, noting an increase in maritime traffic, but maintaining optimism about the Strait's reopening. The Vice President reiterated the U.S. President's stance that the ceasefire and negotiation are contingent on the reopening of the Strait, warning that the U.S. will not honor its terms if Iran does not comply. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz has sent ripples through global energy markets, as evidenced by fluctuating oil prices. The White House has expressed unequivocal support for Israel, with the press secretary affirming the administration's stance. The press secretary condemned Iran's actions, describing them as completely unacceptable, and reiterated the president's demand for the immediate and safe reopening of the strait. The backdrop to these developments is a recent declaration by the Israeli Defense Forces, which announced a major strike against Hezbollah, marking their most extensive military operation in Lebanon since early March. Reports from Al Jazeera suggested a substantial loss of life, with at least 254 fatalities reported in a single day on April 8th due to Israeli airstrikes. This surge in violence has further strained maritime security in the Persian Gulf, with Iran's reported closure of the Strait of Hormuz forcing oil tankers to alter their courses. Iran's actions have been described as a direct response to Israeli air assault, heightening fears of a broader regional conflict. Iranian officials have signaled that any future ceasefire must address the broader geopolitical dynamics involving Lebanon and neighboring countries. A senior Iranian official highlighted the potential for deterrent operations against Israeli military targets, suggesting that escalation extend beyond current battle lines. As the international community watches with bated breath, the White House has reiterated its commitment to Israel, contrasting sharply with Iran's stance. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz has disrupted global energy and maritime traffic, prompting urgent diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the conflict. Iranian state media confirmed the closure of the strait, framing it as a retaliatory measure against Israeli actions. The situation remains fluid, with the U.S. administration monitoring developments closely. The president, aware of the reports from Iranian state media, described the closure as false, publicly insisting that the strait is gradually reopening and emphasizing that this is the expectation privately communicated to him. The president's rhetoric has been robust, with a recent statement warning that a whole civilization would die if a ceasefire was not achieved. This tough stance has sparked questions about its implications, with critics questioning whether such language might undermine U.S. moral standing. However, the administration has defended the president's approach, highlighting its effectiveness in securing Iran's agreement to the ceasefire. In stark contrast to the rhetoric, the White House has articulated a vision focused on results, asserting that the president's negotiating style has yielded tangible outcomes. The administration emphasizes that Iran's acknowledgement of the ceasefire is a testament to the U.S. powerful military capabilities and negotiation prowess. The geopolitical landscape in the Middle East is currently teetering on the edge of a significant escalation, with Iran and Israel at the forefront of rising tensions. These developments have been catalyzed by Israel's continued military actions in Lebanon, which have prompted a stark response from Iran. The Iranian military's high-ranking officials, particularly from the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, have made it clear that any aggression towards Hezbollah will be interpreted as an attack on Iran itself. This sentiment was emphatically conveyed by the IRGC's aerospace commander, who indicated that preparations for a heavy response are underway. He urged the Iranian public to show solidarity, suggesting that their collective presence is crucial, saying the true fuel for our missiles is your united presence in the streets. The situation reached a critical juncture on April 8th when the IRGC declared that if Israeli attacks did not cease immediately, the response would be regret-inducing. This statement was broadcasted by the state-operated Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, which also conveyed Iran's denunciation of the United States, labeling it as an oath-breaking ally of Israel. This rhetoric is consistent with reports from Iran's Tasman news agency, which, citing an unnamed source, warned that Tehran might rescind the current two-week ceasefire agreement should Israeli operations in Lebanon persist. The IRGC-related outlet further disclosed that Iranian forces are identifying targets in preparation for potential retaliatory actions against Israeli strikes. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has also voiced serious concerns about the situation in Lebanon through social media channels, stating that the world is witnessing massacres. He underscored the severity of the issue by asserting that Iran is drawing a red line, hinting at the possibility of a full-scale regional conflict. In an alarming development, the Associated Press reported that in response to Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon, Iran has taken measures to close the Strait of Hormuz, a critical maritime passage through which a significant portion of the world's oil supply is transported. This decision came shortly after a ceasefire was announced by the U.S. administration, leading to considerable maritime disruptions and a spike in global oil prices. The U.S. administration has been actively involved in the situation, with the vice president expressing optimism about a resolution, noting, "We actually think that we are seeing signs that the straits are starting to reopen." However, they also stressed that the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is contingent upon the cessation of hostilities, warning that the U.S. will not uphold its ceasefire commitments if Iran fails to meet its obligations. The heightened tensions have been exacerbated by Israel's largest military offensive against Hezbollah since the onset of ground operations in Lebanon in early March. Reports from Al Jazeera indicate that these strikes resulted in the deaths of at least 254 individuals on April 8th alone. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz has added another layer of complexity to the situation, disrupting global energy markets and maritime traffic. The White House has reaffirmed its support for Israel, with Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt emphasizing the U.S.'s backing of Israel's stance. She also addressed the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, stating that President Trump has been briefed on the situation and has deemed the closure completely unacceptable. She reiterated the president's demand for the immediate safe reopening of the strait, dismissing reports of its continued closure as false. The president's rhetoric has sparked controversy, particularly his stark warning that a whole civilization would die if a ceasefire deal was not reached. This has raised questions about the appropriateness of such language, especially given past Iranian slogans like "Death to America." Despite criticisms, the administration maintains that the president's tough negotiating style has been effective in securing the ceasefire, with the Iranian government reportedly backing down from its aggressive stance. Amidst these developments, the U.S. administration has dispatched a negotiating team to Islamabad for further talks, signaling continued diplomatic engagement. The president's expectation remains that Iran will adhere to the ceasefire agreement and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, with the U.S. prepared to monitor and enforce compliance. The situation remains fluid, with ongoing discussions about the potential inclusion of Lebanon in the peace process. While currently excluded, there is acknowledgement that the continued Israeli operations in Lebanon could undermine the Iran ceasefire, prompting further diplomatic efforts. Overall, the unfolding events in the Middle East highlight the precarious balance of power and the intricate web of alliances and enmities that define the region's geopolitical landscape. As the international community watches closely, the coming days will be crucial in determining whether a path to de-escalation can be found or if the region will descend into further conflict.